Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm gonna explore creature design in 3D code a little bit more, and we're gonna be staying more in the horror genre as well because it's spooky season, Halloween season. So I just feel like doing something that's like creepy and weird and just stupid. I don't know. I don't really do horror art. Like this is I paint environments, right? I paint like sci-fi environments, interiors, exteriors, that kind of thing. So doing this is literally like the first time ever I'm doing something like this. And the reason why I do want to do this is because as an artist, I always want to experiment with new styles, with new genres, with new ideas. And it's just one of those things where I just feel like doing it. So yeah, we will be making this hideous looking thing right here. The process of making this is very similar to what I did last week with the alien leech. So if you haven't watched that video, definitely click up here and watch that right now. I go into a lot of detail when it comes to like organic modeling and just discovering some really helpful tools inside 3D code that you can use when you're dealing with more organic structures. Yeah, just thinking about what I made, it even makes me like, it makes me cringe because I'm just like, ugh. What is this? You know, it's like this feeling that weird feeling when I'm like, what is this like weird looking thing that I just made? And it's like when you first start making this, it's kind of like, okay, it's not too, okay, this looks like shit. But then as you start developing your design and when you start getting to the end goal, it's like, ooh, this thing looks hideous. But you know what? Hideous in a good way because this looks scary and weird. So yeah, without wasting any more time, let's get started. So before jumping into 3D, I decided that I want to do a little bit of sketching at first. So definitely spend some time, get some references, sketch something out. Because it's really nice because, you know, you're not then wasting any time dealing with the 3D. Ideation in 3D can get very time consuming at times. So definitely sketch out first. Now, when it comes to importing, I decided that I wanted to import a high poly model. And before importing, I want to make sure I change it from voxels to surface. And then you want to right click on your layer and then you want to click on import and click import object. From there I imported that like this high poly base mesh because I did not want to like start from scratch, right? So I was like, let me just download this model from Sketchfab. Shout out to the guy who made this because this model was amazing. It was the very best. And then I also imported like a base mesh for the head, which I also got from Sketchfab because this model itself didn't really have too much detail on the face. Then after I'm happy, I can like change it back to voxels by clicking on the S. And so now I'm like maintaining that detail on my model itself. From here, I'm going to use the cutoff tool to kind of just like cut the head off of the model that had the weird looking head. From here, I'm going to right click and then I'm going to go to copy and merge. That way I can like copy the elements of one layer and like merge it with the elements of another layer of my choosing. That because I want to make sure like the head and the body's on the same layer, and since they came from like separate models, I had to do this step so that I can like blend them in properly together. And so next I'm gonna like cut off his limbs because if you look at the sketch, I want it to be more like I want this guy to look more like half human, half worm kind of body, you know, more humanoid structure like that. And so I'm just going to go ahead and just like delete all of his like hands and legs. And I'm also like aware that, you know, if I do want those legs and hands to be back, I can just like re-import the same model back and just attach it back to his body. But that was like the general idea. Like right now I'm just like focusing on the blocking out stage where I'm just like blocking out the shapes of the body pretty much. Anatomy is hard. Like I struggle with anatomy, and so I was definitely looking at a lot of like anatomical references as well, just so that it looks a little bit believable to some extent. The edges I decided to like smooth them out a little bit because they were looking a little bit too harsh. And then to create like the tail part of this guy, I decided to use the curves tool. You can just like click and drag and like make these points that like end up becoming like this really cool looking curve, and you can like manipulate those points separately as well, which I think is like a really powerful tool. Next up, I'm going to use the pose tool with the brush mode, and I'm going to click and drag downwards. That way I get like this nice and smooth selection. Actually, click and drag upwards, my bad. And then I'm just going to rotate this guy a little bit because I wanted to have him have like this weird feature where it's just like, you know, facing more towards the right side. Just gonna adjust that a little bit. And honestly, I should have not done this at this early of a stage. It was a mess up because then I couldn't use symmetry effectively at that point, because you know it's not completely straight. So looking back now, I should have not done this. But it did help me in the beginning stage, just like getting everything blocked out. So at the end of the day, I made it work, so it's not too bad. And so with symmetry turned on, I'm gonna go ahead and start sculpting a little bit of details. Not a whole lot, just like some simple, you know, structures, something that, you know, that I can further build upon as I progress on this piece. To cut a hole in his belly, I'm gonna use the primitives tool, and we will use a ellipse for this. And I'm just gonna like shape it, resize it, and I'm just gonna like intersect it with the belly of this creature up here. And I really love this feature because now I can literally just like cut out like a perfectly looking ellipse instead of like using the build tool and just like sculpting inwards. You get a nice little cutout from by doing this. Once you have this set up, go to my tool options, and where it says add, I'll hit subtract and then hit enter on my keyboard, and then boom, we get this nice little cutout. And it's so handy. And if I wanted to have more cutouts on his body, I can definitely like resize it more, bring it up or down, and then just like repeat the same thing. And then I just started like sculpting some details on the face and the body itself. I honestly wasn't sure what I was doing here. I was just like messing around to see until I get something cool up here. It was just like I would say a little warm up before I start doing anything else. I used the muscles tool to kind of like just paint this random like muscly shapes, organic shapes on the belly itself. Next, I used the clone tool because what I want to do, I want to like select his head and just like clone it into different parts of his body. So you can literally use like a lasso selection with this. Make a selection around the face, give it a sec. You'll see this orange selection, which means that it's been selected, and then you can like move it around and place it to whatever you want to place it. And in my case, I wanted to place it in like different parts of the body to kind of have like multiple heads popping out of his body. Not really popping out. I wanted more like in the sense that I want these heads to kind of just be like embedded within his body. Like, you know, like it got absorbed. Like he ate his people. He ate all these people, and now their heads are like coming out of his body. So whatever he eats, it kind of like gets attached to his body. It's a weird concept, I know, but I just thought about messing around with that idea. For making the teeth, I'll follow a same process. Make sure to make a new layer first. We'll use a primitive. So we're going to use a sphere this time. And then on top of the sphere, I'm going to lay a cone. And I'm just going to like match the shape of the cone just barely enough so that it fits the sphere. And then from there, what I can do is that I can use the move tool and just click and drag. That way I get like a soft selection that you can get with the brush mode. And I'm going to rotate it left or right just to see which looks. And then from there, I can just like take the teeth and just place it wherever I want. And also pairing that up with the clone tool, I can like select it and just like duplicate it and just put it wherever I want. The idea that I wanted to have was that I wanted to have like two big teeth on the very top, and then like on the side like smaller teeth, and then towards the bottom like something like even more smaller. And then from here you can also like play around with the symmetry. I mean, to make it look a little more asymmetrical, I decided that I wanted to like rotate one of the teeth to look to like opening up, if that makes sense. And also it's good to like smoothen out the teeth a little bit. That way you don't get like those weird little lines on top of it. And then for the mouth, I use the muscles tool one more time to kind of add like some gums and some flesh inside of the mouth, just to add some more detail up there. And then I also had like some of those little flesh coming out of the mouth, just like falling down. Maybe like the torso kind of opened up, the belly opened up from like skin. Maybe those teeth are his rib cage, I don't know, but just kind of following that narrative. And then from there, I imported my high poly model one more time, and then I just like cut out the hands, not the arms, and then just like put it all over his body just to see what it looks like. And it looked pretty good so far. So at this point, I can just start detailing. And for the face itself, I kind of wanted to make it look like that monster from the movie The Thing. It was really hard to like capture that effect, and I struggled a lot with it. But you know what? In the end, I did get something done, and you know, I was like, okay. I was like, okay, fine, let's just stick with that. But we've reached a point in this sculpt where I've pretty much blocked everything out. I've put all my elements where they want to be, and I can just like start detailing at this point. The pinch tool was really handy in this case because I was able to like show the effect of like folds in the skin, you know, like different bumpiness in the skin. And I also converted my model from voxel to surface. If you notice on my layer, if you just click on the letter V, it will convert it into a surface. And the reason why I do that is because then it becomes a lot easier to like add detail to your model. And from there, I started off with the head first. Once I got the head down, I worked my way down towards the belly and then the arms, and just kind of just like starting to detail everything. And I also had my references opened up on my second monitor, so I was constantly looking at it. And the toughest challenge was kind of like just blending the heads to the body, because if I wasn't careful with it, it just looked weird. And it was definitely a lot of struggle, because I don't really do creature design a whole lot. And then I totally neglected the tail. I worked on that a little bit also. And then stencils was a good way to add some detail, and I added some like pores, not pores, like this. I thought some like decay on the skin would be cool. Maybe there's like some sort of like measles, or like maybe some pimples of some sort, just like coming from the body, because it's like, you know, infected in some way. And then I also like smoothened them out a little bit because I felt like it was getting a little bit too noisy in some areas. But this is the part where you just gotta like, you know, put some music on and just like start detailing. I was using a variety of tools, using the move tool, using the draw tool, the build tool, and then also making sure like the arms that I attached were actually attached to the body. I had an issue where like the arms were just like floating in the air in the beginning. So, you know, just little things like that. That's what I wanted to like focus on at this stage in time. Okay, so it's time to texture this out. So I actually made my own custom shader for this, and for this I downloaded some images of a skin shader, and then you can like create a new material and then use the material preview to kind of preview your material. And so from here, the very first option, it's kind of the base color, and so I'm gonna go ahead to my folder structure and pick out the base color. It was this right here, and so I'm gonna check the albedo / diffuse map, and so that's the result I get. That's the preview. And then the one below it, it's gonna be a and so you can also like scale the texture up and down a little bit. I usually scale it down and try to mess around with it a little bit and see which looks best, and just like go from there for the most part. You can just zoom in as well, zoom out, and see what it looks like. So the smart material preview is really good. The one below the diffuse is the normal map, and then just select your normal map from here. You'll get this message that pops up. I'm not really sure what this message meant. At first I hit no, but then nothing happened. So then I reloaded my texture and hit yes, and it took a minute, and then like it started working. And so it was really strong. and so I had to like lower down my depth a little bit just so that it wasn't like super out of control. I feel like it was more like it was acting as a normal map and a displacement map, or it was using the details from a normal map to drive displacement. Something like that was happening for the most part. It was pretty cool though. I really like the effect. I brought down the percentage of depth to around 30%, between 30 and 20%, and it was adding like a lot of like bumps. I feel like this could be like a bump map as well that I can use on this one, but either way the normal map worked pretty well on this. And if you're missing any of the maps in your PBR shader that you downloaded, just like use anything and see how it works. It's all about experimentation. From there you can like scale up and down your maps just to make sure the scaling of all your maps is the same, because if it's not the same then it's just gonna look like wonky in certain areas. So what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to make a new layer, and this layer is going to be my blood layer. Like I want to have like some blood popping out from the skin of this creature. And I honestly didn't know what I was doing, but to get started I changed the color to like a more reddish tone. And at first it looked like weird pink, but then I changed it to red. And so it's very shiny because the metallicness is turned up, but under like edge scattering texture, there's this option where I can like change it to like more on concave, and then I can lower down my metalness, and then I'm lowering down my depth as well. And so I'm getting this effect where like the red color is only showing in areas where there's like where it's like concave, right, where there's like it's like extruded inwards, if that makes sense, right? I'm not sure how else to explain this. And then on the top as well, like these three dots up here, the blue one is for depth, green is for color, and the one on the right that's X'd out, that's for glossiness. So I turned off glossiness because it was getting like really like shiny. And then I went back to that option and I play around with the rest of them. I tried more on convex, tried the ones below it. I just tried every single option just to see like which one's giving me a better result. And this more on flat worked pretty well too, because it was like it was not overpowering a whole lot, but it almost felt like it was evenly distributed to the entire skin. So some of these effects worked real nicely, some of them did not work at all, but it was a good experience. The more on shadow worked real nice too, because I was getting like real nice pink gradients, but in the end I decided that I want to just like go with the concave option. Sorry, I went with the more on flat option because that one gave me the best result to my liking at that time. And the skin was looking a little bit too pink, so if I click on that white box that you see next to opacity, I can change the color of the skin a little bit. So I thought of like adding some like more warmer tones, maybe like a little hint of yellow or orange to it, just so that there's a little bit of contrast between the red bloodiness and this color of the skin itself. And with that, like the texture of the skin was pretty much done, and I just had to apply it to my model up here. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and then by using the fill tool and making sure that it's set to brush, if I just like click on my model anywhere, it should fill in the entire model with that texture up there. And it was looking pretty sick, not gonna lie. And then at this stage you just like start detailing it again, and you want to treat it like Photoshop, right? You just keep building up your layers and just keep painting on top of your models. The only difference is that instead of like using different colors, you're using different materials, you're using different textures to paint textures. You can also paint flat colors, you can also like paint flat colors, but then in this case I was using like different materials and seeing whichever was working or not. Like for the teeth, I straight up used a texture for a stone because like it was giving me like a similar result to what a teeth might look like. And it worked really nicely for the most part. And then I also made a new layer just for like highlights, and I usually use this like this brush to kind of like just paint some glossiness all over the place. And the teeth itself, like the material was like brown in color, so I made a new layer, set it to screen, and I just like lowered my opacity a little bit just so that we can get like a more of a grayer tone, because I was having a hard time changing the color of that brown. So you know, like just if you know how to use Photoshop, then doing like painting like textures in 3D code can be like real easy for you. And then here I can also like paint just like normal maps. Like here I'm just like adding detail up here, because on the top, if you notice, I only have my depth turned on and I have my color and my glossiness turned off, so that only paints depth, which is pretty much painting normal map detail on your model, which once again is a really quick and easy way to get like detail on your model. And with that, we were pretty much done texturing this guy. And if you guys want a more in-depth texturing video, definitely let me know in the comments. I know I already have one that I already posted sometime last year, but it didn't go into a lot of detailing when it came to like people in general. I want to say like texturing creatures and stuff. So definitely let me know. I'll be more than happy to like make a video on that. Just adding more stuff on the tongue, and we're pretty much done. Alright, so then I like imported this into Blender, and I also downloaded a set of gums and teeth from Sketchfab just for like the mouth, like the real mouth on his head, because I was very lazy, y'all. I didn't feel like modeling like teeth, so I just like downloaded one of those, and it worked pretty well. I mean, this thing looked so hideous. Like, oh my god, when you zoom in on the face, like it was looking so disgusting, like in a good way, because that's the kind of vibe I was going for, right? It's not like I'm calling my art disgusting, which it can be sometimes, but in this case it was a good type of disgusting. Oh my god, what I'm saying. And then, you know, having like some sort of moody lighting also helps a lot. You know, I had this HDRI that I was using that had this like sunset vibe, and it fit the mood really well, because this is like a horror scene. We got this horror creature, and you know, these creatures do come out at night, so it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if I had a sort of lighting where like it's nice and bright and sunny and hopeful, when it's not supposed to be hopeful. It's supposed to be like dreadful and hopeless instead. But look how like bad like his mouth looks. Like, oh my god, at this point this dude just looks like a zombie, not gonna lie. And I was trying so hard to not go through that zombie route, but I just ended up going through that route either way. But it's fine, you know. I still like really liked how this turned out in the end, and so we also ended up like rendering it, and I rendered a whole turntable animation. And if you want to like learn more on how to like make a turntable animation, definitely watch my previous video. I cover more into it. Click on the top right corner. And yeah, so this was the final result. All right, so that should be all for today's video. Thank you. So that should be all for today's video. Thank you so much for coming by and watching this video. And if you guys have any questions on how I made this weird looking thing, if you have something that I did not answer in this video, definitely leave them in the comments below. I reply to every single comment. If not, you know, definitely hit me up on Instagram. My links are at the bottom as well. I'm super active on Instagram and ArtStation, so definitely let me know if you guys need help with anything. And next, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna take this guy and put him into an environment scene, and we're gonna call this project done. And this will be in next week's video, so definitely be on the lookout for that. I will also be at Lightbox next week, so if you guys are around, definitely hit me up, message me on Instagram, let's meet up. It's my first time going, so I'm like super nervous, so yeah. But I promise you I'm not gonna be doing a vlog, because like, dude, I feel weird pulling out my phone and just like, you know, fucking just but I'll definitely be up there, be meeting up with some friends who are doing portfolio reviews, and getting my own portfolio reviewed, because I'm trying to break into the industry as well. So if you guys are around, definitely hit me up. And yeah, I thank you guys for everything, and I'll see you guys in the next one.